How many of you out there are excited for Starfield, a mere days away from early release? I think I speak for a lot of people when I say I'm excited, and I know a lot of you are excited as well. Obviously, Microsoft has a lot riding on the success of Starfield, and I also realize that maybe not a lot of you are, even going to be Xbox fans per se or whatever, but you're still going to want to play Starfield, whether it's on Steam or Windows or Xbox or cloud or however you want to go about playing it. But needless to say, this bit of news might come as a little bit of a shock to some people, as it looks like it's a bit controversial to say the least. And let's just be honest, Starfield has had its little bit of share of controversies leading up to the launch. Now, for me personally, this is not a big deal. I think that this actually is the right move for Microsoft to do, and I also think that people should kind of just lay off of them about it, because I feel like they're already doing their best to make sure that everybody has, a good time, a good amount of games to play, and Starfield looks absolutely incredible. What I'm talking about is this. Xbox ended the $1 Game Pass promo ahead of the Starfield release. Now, of course, a lot of gaming outlets are going to try to make this look like a bad thing for Xbox or an underhanded thing. The reality is, you have a $200+ million game. You want people to go out there and either buy the game or buy a subscription to Game Pass. It's really not that hard of a thing to understand. I mean, Netflix in the early days had a lot of promo deals and things like that, but at some point, when you're investing all this money in these games, you have to let it stand on its own 2 feet. So it was spotted that the 14 days of Game Pass promo has disappeared from the Microsoft Store this past weekend after it was reintroduced in July. Previously, the deal was available for several months until Microsoft ended it in March, saying that it was in fact reevaluating different market promotions for the members in the future. The latest withdrawal comes days before Starfield's early access release date on August 31st. But the $70 standard version of Starfield, which includes the base game, will be available via Xbox Game Pass. The Digital Premium Edition and the $300 Constellation Edition will come with the game's very first story expansion, Shattered Space, plus up to 5 days of early access ahead of Starfield's September 6th release. The $1 Game Pass reintroduction from this summer followed Microsoft's decision to raise Game Pass prices. As of July 6th, prices increased in most markets, including Norway, Chile, Denmark, Switzerland, and Saudi Arabia. The monthly price went up from $9.99 from basic Game Pass to $10.99, and the price of Game Pass Ultimate increased from $14.99 to $16.99, which I think, obviously everybody knows about right now. But why is this a big deal? Well, some people are saying, it's Microsoft is trying to be underhanded or whatever like that. Could you imagine a company, basically for 6 years, 5 years, to allow people to basically play all their games for next to nothing? Because that's honestly what they've been doing. And, now that the games are finally going to hit, they spend billions and billions of dollars on studios, on all this kind of stuff. You start to see, sort of a different kind of trend, and people are still like, oh man, they took this away from us. They didn't take anything away from you. If you're that entitled, you should have locked down Game Pass long term when you had the chance, and if you feel like it was not worth your money or whatever. Like, to me, Starfield is the biggest release since Skyrim, and it looks to be absolutely incredible. We're seeing all kinds of gameplay footage leaks and things like that all over the internet. This past weekend there was a ton of that, and the game just looks as epic as you can imagine. Like, it really looks worth the price of admission, whether you're paying a $15 or $17 for the month, or whether you're paying $70 for the game or $300 for the game. Like, to me, it doesn't really matter. It's kind of crazy to think that this is the kind of thing that's happening, but at the same time, Microsoft has a lot to kind of look forward to in the future with how they handle this. If people really thought that they were just going to let you play their games for free, that's absolutely silly. That's silly and asinine to really think that. Now, for me personally, I think that obviously, I did, the right thing years ago, right? When they were allowing a 1-to-1 conversion of Xbox Live Gold into Game Pass Ultimate, I got as much up as I could. That's not me ripping anybody off, because you still had to get gold, which still cost money, right? So you're still buying into them and locking into their ecosystem long term. So that's what I did. And, you know, I feel like obviously a lot of people probably jumped on that as well. And, you know, I think that this is something that they obviously are going to kind of keep on doing amazing things with. And, like, you're starting to see that vitriol from the other side, from the PlayStation fans, right? For instance, there was this article in Forbes, and it says Xbox is about to leave PlayStation and Starfield's glittering space dust, right? And, you know, obviously it's been a long time coming. Starfield is almost here. The day is almost upon us. September 1st for pre-orders and September 6th for everybody else. Actually, August 31st, you'll be able to play it. And for the first time in a very, very long time, Xbox is about to launch the biggest console exclusive of the year, bigger than Spider-Man 2, bigger than The Legend of Zelda, in a year full of massive game releases, Hogwarts Legacy, Diablo 4, Baldur's Gate 3. None are as highly anticipated as Starfield. Bethesda's answer to the question, what if Skyrim was in space? This is partly because Starfield has been in development for so long, and partly because Bethesda, other RPG, Elder Scrolls 6, is still years away. Starfield was announced way back in 2018 before Microsoft acquired Bethesda parent company ZeniMax for a cool $7.5 billion. In fact, Microsoft decided to pull the trigger on the acquisition over fears that Sony would make a deal with Bethesda to lock Xbox out of Starfield altogether. And I quote, when we acquired ZeniMax, one of the things for that is that Sony had a deal for Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo to pay Bethesda to not ship those games on Xbox, according to Phil Spencer. So the discussion about Starfield, when we heard that Starfield was potentially also going to end up skipping Xbox, is we can't be in a position as a third place console where we fall further behind on our content ownership, so we've had to ensure that content to remain viable in the business. Now it appears that the chickens are coming home to roost, Bobby Boucher, and those exclusivity deals might have fade off in the short term, but with Xbox now owning Bethesda outright, it's unlikely any more of the games will ever come to PlayStation. Starfield is the first of many, as Indiana Jones games is in the work as well. And of course, you know, obviously Elder Scrolls and Outer Worlds 2. All these games are Xbox exclusive. And so obviously Microsoft did a really good thing to kind of make sure that everybody has this amazing amount of content to play. But I'm very curious how you guys all feel about this. Are you like down and out about the situation with the Game Pass and $1, or are you a person of some intelligence and just think that, you know, it makes sense that people are going to either have to keep paying to access this, or, you know, they're going to have to buy the game? I mean, it's going to be one of those two things, and I think we'll see what happens sooner rather than later. But I feel like Microsoft has done nothing wrong in this instance. So a lot of the comments are pretty baseless when it comes down to it. And again, you know, Microsoft has to be able to recoup money. They've got to be able to make money. It's always so funny to me when people just pretend like Microsoft should not make money at all, or they shouldn't have any return investment. You'd never say these things about PlayStation. You'd never say these things about, you know, Nintendo. You just wouldn't. So why would we say them about Xbox? Like, it never made sense to me to treat them so different. But anyway, let me know what you guys think. Rack them up. Have a great day. I'm Crap Gamer. This is Crap Gamer Reviews. Peace.